Oh, yes. Once again.
I was too busy watching to see what you added to it.
I did not get to add our last week's movie to the intro. It was a very hectic week here in the Sheamer household. So, no, intro stays the same as we celebrate and worse in film and television.
Yes.
You get these weird lighting where all of a sudden the lights start to flash. It is the EriDan Film Festival, and it's TV night.
TV night.
It's Dan's birthday eve.
It's my birthday eve, and it is also the night that we talk about television.
Oh, yes.
Not just film.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I happen to pick the show this month also.
And this is your show, which I think is perfect since it is your birthday eve, that you got to pick Newsradio from like 96. Am I right about this? 96 is when they started.
95?
In great 95 through 1999, solid years right before Y2K. We were all talking about Newsradio, Dave Foley and cast. So we want you to join us tonight because we'll be picking a series for next month, right? So like, even if you hate this show or if you've never seen this show, you should join us anyway so that you'll be around when we pick a new TV show to talk about next month.
And I feel like a lot of people are thinking, why are we on a Sunday night?
It is Sunday night
instead of tomorrow. I am having a little birthday party that my wife's throwing here at the house.
You should.
And it starts at 5:00 tomorrow. I can't be upstairs doing this and be like, I'll be right down. I'll see you guys at 6:30. That would be.
We all only have so many birthdays left, Dan.
That's all true. That's true of everybody.
That's what I was going to point it out just for you to be mean, but then I'm like, well, in theory.
Yeah, it's true of everybody.
We got a limited number of birthdays. You should enjoy them to their fullest.
Yes.
So get outside, but not now. Don't go outside now. There's nothing good out there now.
Right, except the birthday dog.
You want to stay with us to talk about Newsradio. So, go open up your browser, go to EriDanLive.com. You join the show. You talk to us. You wish Dan some happy birthday wishes. Even if you don't want to talk about TV, you can wish Dan a little birthday wish. You can, And
Adam, our good friend Adam, is in the movie theater right now. So maybe next week he'll talk about what he's watching in the movie theater.
Well, that's a very good point.
But he's not here. The Snyder Riders might be here late, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they did watch some show episodes, but we have Dave. So let's bring in Dave.
I'm sorry, Dave. This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
There's your show's tagline right there. EriDan Film Festival, because we only have a limited number of Mondays left.
Well, I don't know if that encourages people to spend their time with us or not.
My dogs are really enjoying it.
The dog is having a great time. The dog is having its own party.
Yeah, she just hears me barking up here, and she's like, "What's going on up there?"
It's a party. It's birthday eve. It is so Newsradio. Dan, why did you choose Newsradio as our TV series?
Well, I love WKRP. I love sitcoms about radio stations.
Workplace drama.
I like workplace sitcoms, and Newsradio is one of the funniest, I feel. And I was worried when I picked it, but it seems like the response has gone over very well from what I've heard so far, and from even that night when I first picked it. Let's go! I love that show. No one's here to talk about it other than Dave and you and me, but nonetheless, maybe you guys will do a show tomorrow night as well, which I'm okay with. You can replay this. If you want.
We'll just replay this tomorrow night and let people join in. 97 episodes. Dave
which Foley, I watched 4.
You watched 4. I watched all 97 in the period of a month. I don't recommend that. But I have a lot of comments. I could probably talk for an hour and a half just
And it
about
sounds like you would have been perfectly happy to stop after season 4.
you know, it's an interesting show. Now, obviously the show had troubles throughout, right? Because they clearly the network was not doing them a lot of favors because they constantly changed the night and time of news radio multiple times throughout each season, right? They did not leave news radio to just have a time slot.
I wonder if people today don't realize the importance of a time slot, because
Oh, it's true.
shows today, between DVRs, even for network shows, and then everything streaming, you watch it when you feel like it.
Right.
But back even in the 90s, it was critically important what night you were on, what came before you, what came after you. Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and we're talking like, I mean, this is pre-DVR, right? And so you had to set a VCR for a specific time to capture a show if you wanted to rewatch it at a different time. So if the network changed the time slot for your show, you were then searching for like, oh my gosh, I got half of a Law and Order episode. I didn't get my news radio, right? Because they moved it to 8:30 this night instead of 8 o'clock.
And if there was the president had a 10-minute address for the nation, or
and you'd get half an episode.
Oh,
those were the worst.
By 10 minutes, or
Yes, and the other thing was, Seinfeld had that problem. When Seinfeld came out, it was on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday throughout its run. And it was, I think, on Wednesday at first became popular. And then they moved, ABC said, we're going to move Home Improvement up against you. And that bumped their ratings down. So then they moved to Tuesday. And then they moved them again. And when they finally got the cheer spot, that's when they exploded. But the time slot was very, very important.
Yeah. And news radio really never got that kind of support. Now, I will say, you can see a decline in the writing probably around mid episode season 3. Things really, they start to fall into a lot of tropes. They're really, even in season 2, they start relying a lot on Andy Dick's just comedy of his physical humor. Like almost every intro is him falling or whatever. But there are a lot of, there's a lot of goofy episodes. There's a lot of silliness that happens throughout the series. But I feel like one of the problems that they had, especially as the series got on longer, they had great ideas going on that they just decided to abandon, So if you're watching the series, you could just tell they got as far as they could think was funny with a certain premise or concept. And they're like, we're just going to abandon that, So for, starting probably end of season 1, definitely in season 2, Jimmy James is looking for a wife, right? And this becomes his big thing, his giant list of potential prospects for getting married. And just every like 4th or 5th episode, they would bring this up. And by season 4, it was just done. They were just done with that. They're just letting him be single or whatever. They're like, nothing funny. Same with Lisa and Dave dating, right? They have them dating all the way through season 3. And then they just abandon it and are like, we don't really have much to do with that. And by
change in showrunners or anything between seasons 3 and 4? Or
that's a great question. That I did not get the chance to research. They were bringing in tons of celebrities. You had everybody guest starring on here for a while.
Yeah, Bob Odenkirk and David Cross. You had Lauren Grant.
Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart was on there. Ben Stiller was on an episode. I mean, it became a real stomping ground for people to guest star on.
Well, one thing to look at, I'm just looking at the ratings, how many people were watching the show. And the premiere got 17.8 million viewers. James Burrows directed the pilot. He's like the king of pilots. He also directed the first 4 episodes. Peter Bonners did the 7th episode of the first season.
Right.
Then you look at the second season, 16.1 it opened with. I think the high was 21.5. Excuse me. Even the 3rd and 4th season, it was still getting 7, 8, 9 million viewers per episode. Season 4 opening, 16.6. Last week, the number 1 show in all of television, on network television, was Rachel Maddow with 3.69 million.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't you don't pull the numbers that you used to back.
No, you can't, because
No.
in 1995 you had four networks, and the fourth was barely a network.
Yeah.
And UPN came along, WB came along. Cable was sort of there, but it wasn't doing a lot of original programming.
You had premium cable. You had HBO, and
Right.
It was,
But they would pay for these numbers now.
Yeah, if you get 1.5 million, 2 million now, you can stay on. You can stay on.
That
the
was
air.
when American Movie Classics showed movies.
Yeah, and they were American, and they were movies, and they were classics. When the History Channel actually had history.
Yeah, and not alien autopsies.
And Pawn Stars.
And the other thing too was what were they up against? Because that was another thing that people now don't realize is what you were up against on the other networks was critically important. I still, as a kid, I loved the Flip Wilson show, and when the Waltons came on, it came on against it and started killing it in the ratings, and so, like within a season or two, it was off the air. And I never watched the Waltons for years because I was angry at them for driving off one of my favorite shows.
Darn you, Waltons!
Yep.
Jim Bob, how could you take care of
Mary Ellen? It's your fault.
That's hilarious. Hey, News Radio, of all the things going for it, they had a theme song by Mike Post, who was like the theme song king, right? Especially in that era, right?
I have an autograph somewhere of Mike Post that I got from Richard Malzahn's ex-wife, was Mike Post's assistant for years.
Wow.
I know, more name drops. And he said he is one of the richest people he's ever met because of all the shows that he wrote.
Well, he did the Rockford Files, Greatest American Hero, Hill Street Blues, Magnum PI, LA Law.
Law and Order.
The Law and Order. He did Dum Dum.
Wow, 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 wow.
Now, at least in the copies that I was watching, in the viewings of I was watching, they hacked that. They hacked that intro so badly for the fifth season. They didn't even do a nice intro for the fifth season, especially when I mean, I feel like the beginning of the fifth season, obviously they're dealing with the lost. Yes, that's a John.
He was a different character.
Yeah, he's in 2 early episodes, and then he's in obviously season 5.
Yes, and the character where he comes on to protest as a fired employee of Jimmy Jane's and threatens to jump off the roof is a very funny. I mean, Phil Hartman obviously. Obviously had a great impact on how great that show was.
Yeah.
And Stephen Root's amazing.
Yeah. Stephen Root is just amazing in this. When he's on screen, he carries the show.
I mean, I'll take Vicki Lewis even in this show is actually, I mean, I'm not, a huge Vicki Lewis fan, but I feel like
go ahead.
But no, I was going to feel the great thing through the first couple of seasons is how great, I mean, they have 8 characters, all of which get great lines, right? Like it's all written so well across 8 characters, right?
Oh, it's a proper ensemble cast. It's what you hope for when you have an ensemble cast.
And then Candy Alexander's character, Catherine Duke, when she leaves, it feels a little off, right? And then obviously when Phil Hartman, it just doesn't look in the 5th season. It doesn't feel like they're having as much fun.
Well, I always felt both. Yeah. I felt Catherine and Joe sort of got the short change. They didn't get as many funny bits, and I could sort of. I'm not sure why she left, but she was sort of the bottom of the totem pole as far as getting the really good lines,
the really great lines,
good featured scripts. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she when she left, apparently it was because she wanted to pursue more dramatic roles. Okay. And she ended up, what did I see? CSI Miami. She was on ER. And she's a miscellaneous group of movies. She was in Fahrenheit 451. So she's working. Almost everybody from the cast is still working in one way or another. It's very interesting to look through all the IMDb profiles because Andy Dick is doing an amazing amount of voiceover work.
Yeah.
And so is Vicki Lewis. Like they both do a lot of voiceover work.
They can trust him to do voiceovers. There's nobody else in the room with him.
Well, Myra Turney, how you say her first name, she was Lisa. She was on ER, and I was actually an extra on a few episodes of ER, and she was sitting out smoking during a break, and I was like, really? I don't know. It just bugged me that she was a smoker.
Wow. Judge much?
I was judging the smokers. You can judge smokers.
I guess
they're not a protected class. Not yet.
Now here's one of my topics of conversation is how do you feel that they dealt with the relationship between Dave and Lisa? Because Dan, you mentioned early on that you liked the fact that
I liked it. Yeah. Yes, they did it in the pilot episode, literally, and I thought it was better than doing that whole Sam and Diane, will they, won't they?
Yeah,
for an entire year. They were like, let's just dive right into it.
Yeah, Moonlighting was the benchmark for will they, won't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Jerry and Elaine, she wasn't even in the pilot, but they were interesting that they were exes.
Yeah.
So you don't have to ever wonder if they would get together. They already had, but then they did get together once during the season.
Pilot, I did feel the pilot was not a great episode. I mean, that's not surprising. It was the pilot. But watching the pilot, I was like, ooh, I remembered this show being better than this. And then I watched the second and third episodes, like, oh, yeah, that was good. Yeah.
They got good really quick.
I said, and then just for the longest time, they were dating and they just weren't dealing with it. It's like, yeah, they're dating. Like, before they'd have a line of dialogue, maybe they'd give each other a peck or whatever to acknowledge that they were still dating. And then they kind of, then there was a season where they had a efficiency expert come in. I think this is season 3 where they kept trying to mess up with like clearly it's like, all right, we don't get stale. So now instead of just letting this be about The Office, we're going to bring in some guest stars. They brought in, and I've forgotten her name, Laura Graham. They brought in Laura Graham for 4 episodes as an efficiency expert. And Dave was like, hey, maybe we ought to cool it on the relationship stuff. And that's kind of how they broke up, was because like, oh, you can't, we don't want to attract attention of the efficiency expert. And then they broke up and they just kind of left it. Every once in a while they make a joke about them dating. And then she ends up marrying Patrick Warburton's character.
She married Putty.
She marries Putty. He comes in. I don't know if you guys probably didn't get to this part because this is pretty late.
I did see it in IMDb that he was in season 5 for an arc.
So he comes in for 5 episodes as this evil person who's there to take over Jimmy's empire and gets Jimmy thrown in jail. And Lisa ends up falling in love with him, even though he's evil. And then he claims he won't be evil anymore. And then he becomes a bum, and then he marries him, but he steals a wedding ring for her for their wedding. They get married. He gets thrown in jail, and you never see him again. And they made 1 or 2 jokes about her husband being in jail, and that's it. And that's,
I mean,
Lisa.
So this is Lisa from Newsradio marries Putty
from Seinfeld.
Yeah. No,
on a very special crossover episode.
I'm all in favor of not being a slave to continuity on a sitcom, and I think you tie the writer's hands too much if you can't do that because 3 seasons ago in a subplot in episode 7 they didn't know. Just if you've got good writing, don't worry about it and don't sweat over it. On the other hand, change for the sake of change. I still think my best. When they tried to shake up Married with Children and introduce the small child, the young boy, and then they decided after 1 season, this is dumb, this is not working, and just wrote him out. But they didn't even write him out. He just disappeared. And the only reference after that was his face was on the side of a milk carton.
That's hilarious. And I understand that it's comedy, right? So you don't have to, but I feel like they're just like, oh, it'd be funny. This is literally an episode. This is like the 3rd to the last episode. And I'll tell you, the last episode is a nightmare. But the third to the last episode is, Matthew and Jimmy are complaining about how hard their jobs are. So Jimmy decides that they'll switch jobs for a day, right? Which instantly is like, okay.
That's a jump the shark type of premise.
Yes. And then so Matthew supposedly loses all of Jimmy's money, right? $7 billion he loses. And then at the end of the episode, they're like, oh, no, he just put a $7 billion credit on his phone bill. And they're like, all right, the whole episode is like, what was it? It's
like it was all a dream, right?
Yes. Basically, every episode became irrelevant, right? There was nothing that was interesting that was happening through the 5th season at all. It just got very sad. And again, I don't know. And the last episode feels like maybe it was a last swing towards the fences to see if they could get fans to insist that they have another season. It does not feel like a final episode at all.
Yeah. I was going to ask because I was wondering if they knew going in. I mean, they had to know going in with Hartman gone that they were going to have to do something different.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't just write out his character and try to continue with the same cast and not. He was too big a cog in that machine.
They did handle that episode. I will say they handled that as well as you possibly could. Right?
Yeah. For a sitcom.
Yeah, it's a heartfelt episode. Obviously, they took a lot of care in that episode, but not in any episode afterwards.
But the question is, I don't remember, did they slow down the theme song for that episode?
They probably did.
You get the reference, of course.
Yeah, I mean, obviously his losses just felt throughout that episode, and and they just got to the point where they were just like, hey, it's John Lovitz, we'll just let him do any character he wants from Saturday Night Live. And so there's just a lot of John Lovitz doing everything that John Lovitz has ever done before. So it's not, but I mean, look at Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan went on to have quite the career afterwards.
Yeah. But I mean, he had Fear Factor.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan, I mean, wasn't even in the pilot. And I think we mentioned this earlier on, that the original person that got Joe Rogan's job was Ray Romano.
Right.
And Ray Romano went to the table read, and they said, no, and they fired him. And luckily, I think the next year he got Everybody Loves Raymond.
Well, the other thing, too, is if I'm remembering this right, I don't remember all the details, Phil Hartman was in the last episode of a season of Third Rock as sort of like a cliffhanger, and then he passed away between the seasons.
Oh, yeah.
And they had him like in a car driving off with someone, and the season ended on a cliffhanger, and then he's gone. And I don't remember how they addressed that either. Yeah.
Wow. John Lovitz.
Yeah, they brought in John Lovitz.
Always John Lovitz.
All right. This is the kind of humor that really is only in. I don't know. They definitely left this for the 4th and 5th season. But I'm gonna play a clip of. This is just the kind of joke. This is the kind of joke that always got me with this show.
That mustache. Wow.
I just don't understand what Jimmy is doing.
Eating a sandwich.
No, I mean, what could he possibly be thinking?
Probably, good sandwich.
That's all I need. I don't know why. That stuck with me forever. Like, good sandwich.
There are a lot of just great little zingers.
Yeah.
And Phil Hartman had most of them.
Where Jimmy's running for president.
Well, you also wonder, too, because both Hartman and Foley and Dick, all three of them at least, I don't know about the other characters, they came from at least somewhat improv and comedy troupe backgrounds. So they had to have wild times on the set where they're just improvising and running with stuff.
Oh gosh.
And how much of that got incorporated into the show, I have no idea.
I was telling Dave earlier, I watched this. There's a gag reel, like a 20-minute gag reel for each season. And the amount of flub lines and the amount of outtakes that they have throughout this of either goofing off or not remembering their lines or whatever, that it's like, oh my gosh, their poor editors had to be like masterminds to be able to piece together a show afterwards that actually made any sense.
You're watching, obviously, Eric. You're current on. I'm not going to give anything away. You're current on Only Murders in the Building.
Not this past week.
I'm not either.
Okay. Because there's something they discuss. This isn't giving anything away, but there's something they discuss about the difference between being on stage and being on TV, and how when you can't just call for another take, how that affects your psyche.
Well, I saw an interview with Steve Martin and Martin Short, and they were talking about when they were rehearsing with Meryl Streep, and the guy who wrote the episode was directing it, and Meryl Streep said a line, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm not remembering what I'm supposed to say here," and he goes, "Oh," and he pulls out the script, and then she's like, "That's my line. Like that was the actual line."
I heard this interview. This was on.
She's that good.
Yeah, she is so good.
She fooled the writer-director.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's an old sketch that they did on Mr. Show.
Dan.
Like,
you have a light. You are.
There's a sketch on Mr. Show, which I'm guessing, since you already played a clip, we could get nailed anyway.
I just keep it short. Keep it short. You'll be fine. Like 10
let me see if I can.
seconds, you'll be all right. I just wouldn't get carried away. Don't get carried away. That's why I wanted to cue that right to the joke.
All right. Yeah, HBO probably bails.
What I liked about this show too is that it's shot like that is such a wide set, right? Like they have, the entire set from Dave's office to the bullpen to the hallway. It's such a wide set that they were able to, really flow through the office. They do amazingly abandon the whole concept of actually running a news radio station, right? Like it's all, like the first 2 seasons, they're talking a lot about who's on the air. You see Phil Hartman a lot in the background on the microphone. And eventually there's like, we can't afford to pay him to just sit here all day as a background actor or whatever, because then it becomes either nobody or nobodies who are sitting in for that. So,
all right. So this is called The Audition. It's a sketch from Mr. Show.
Can I use this chair?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I started it. That's part of the monologue.
Oh, I thought you were asking.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Doing it.
Okay.
Can I use this chair?
Yeah.
No.
I'm sorry.
Let me. Start again.
That's funny.
Let's go all the way up to here.
The whole bit.
You guys sit there, you and your stupid designer tie and your dumbass glasses and imported bottled water, sitting looking down at the lowly actor on the stage, getting off on your power trip. Well, you know what? Fuck you. I don't need to be in your stupid dumbass sitcom. It's not funny. You know what? It's never gonna work. Fuck you guys. Fuck you. Fuck.
Whoa, that was weird. What was it?
Wow.
Here it comes.
And see. No! God! Let me start again. Can I use this chair?
Kid.
Serious.
That's really funny.
It never ends.
That's amazing.
Sorry for the F-bomb, everybody.
Yeah, seriously. Your mother's watching.
Oh. She's heard that word before.
I'm trying to think, are there any, you also have to feel like with Cheers, they sort of abandoned the idea of running a functioning bar to some degree. I mean,
true.
They spent all of their time with these
front of them.
They spent all of their time with these 5 patrons and ignored everybody else.
Well, that's a very good point. That is.
You definitely got Dick Van Dyke. They were clearly running a show, and The Office, they were clearly running a dysfunctional business, but they were running a business.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, with the comedy, I get it. You're not supposed to get too hung up on the particulars, but it's like, it's interesting, right? I mean, I feel like the first 3 seasons are super solid, right? I think after that, After that, you could pretty much abandon it unless you're having a great time, but you will be disappointed by the end of the 5th season.
I'm going to finish. I am going to finish it. I mean, I've seen almost all of them when it was on originally, but that was almost 30 years ago.
How far are you into this watch?
I'm in the middle of season 2.
Okay.
I mean, you got a lot of good episodes ahead.
We watched the first 3 episodes, and then we decided we had time to watch one more today, and it was like, well, what do you want to watch? I don't know. And I just said, well, pick a holiday episode. So we watched the Christmas episode from season 2.
Oh, there you go.
Which is the one with the I'm gonna kill you.
Oh yeah, the Santa Claus.
Yes.
Oh man, so you guys, there's a lot of good stuff coming still. I said it gets, Jimmy is the eccentric billionaire, just every once in a while you can tell they're like, well, what wild wacky thing can we have Jimmy do? It's like, we'll get him, he'll be flying a hot air balloon around the world, or he'll run for president, and it's, some of those start off really good, and towards the end it's kind of like I love
the one where they had the bonuses, and it was, somebody gets the shaft, somebody gets $3,000, everybody else gets $400, and Dave has to deal with it. And just the whole way that Candy Alexander's character, Catherine, just plays him perfectly, and she gets it.
Yep.
And then Jimmy James just comes in, he goes, all right, give Lisa $3,000, give so-and-so this much, give Joe an extra $150, give this, give that. It was just, he actually, he doesn't know what he's doing, but he knows exactly what he's doing.
And that works really well in the first season, right?
Yeah.
It really does, right? Like,
well, you had to know going in. They clearly were basing the show around Dave Foley and Phil Hartman. I mean, Dave Foley was coming from Kids in the Hall. Phil Hartman was coming from Saturday Night Live. Those were the best known names, comedy names, that they were sort of building the show around. And I mean, Andy Dick was coming from the Ben Stiller show. He was at least somewhat known, but I don't think he was as big a name as those two. Then Stephen Root was really the comedy surprise to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think some of the stuff that Stephen Root has done since. And there was what was the show that he was in?
What year? Because
Man in the High Castle. When he was Man in the High Castle, I was like, that's Stephen Root. That was awesome. He was so great in that.
Well, he is surprisingly chameleon-like. He's one of these actors that you sometimes see him in a role and go, is that?
Yeah.
Is that? I don't know. And yeah. In Office Space,
I realized he was the voice on King of the Hill.
Well, and he was Milton in Office Space, which we watched.
Well, that I do remember. Yeah. But
now, the thing I posted that I can't find this interview anywhere. I thought maybe it was in the archives of EriDan. It's not. I interviewed a bunch of comedians during the comedy festival, probably in 2001 or 2 in Montreal. And I interviewed all the kids in the hall together. And then Dave Foley, I interviewed first, just with him. And I said, you were on one of my favorite shows. And I said, Newsradio. Oh, I thought you were going to say Just Shoot Me. I said, well, that was David Spade. Yeah, a lot of people get us confused. I'm like, well, you're taller. You can't say that much about me, about anybody else. But yeah, so I did do this. I had the screenshot of it because for some reason in one of my videos, there's a screenshot. And what's weird is, if I'm not mistaken, that's Kathy Griffin standing behind us.
And when Jennifer was reading some stuff, my wife Jennifer was reading some stuff on Newsradio, and she cracked up when she read that Vicki Lewis was the Kmart Kathy Griffin.
Yeah.
Well, now Kathy Griffin is the Kmart Kathy Griffin. So.
No. But that's awesome. Now, should we talk about Dave Foley's hair throughout this episode, this season? Because he has got the highest blonde hair in the first season, where it's like me in high school at the end of my high school career, where it is like product to the hilt, and then throughout this season run, it gets lower, flatter, and redder.
Yeah.
and closer to his just natural hair. But you can tell for the first season, they were really trying to make him up.
I wonder if that was to sort of distance him from Kids in the Hall, or why they cared what his hair color was.
That's a good question, but it's so noticeable.
It was very blonde in 2000. Now it's very white.
Yes, he's very, very gray now.
Yes.
And the new Kids in the Hall, they did full frontal in, which was kind of creepy.
Yes.
Let me see if I can. There it is. I mean, first season, man. Like there was a lot of wardrobe makeup happening there, and a lot of work happening with that hair. And by the end, let me see.
I think that's the shirt and tie I wore in the sitcom.
Actually, it does look very similar. You're right.
Wow,
it's true.
You didn't realize you were subliminally going for the Dave Foley look.
Dave Foley,
yeah,
we were doing the Dave Foley. But yeah, by the end, it was a little more natural.
They had stopped caring about many things by the 5th season, including Dave's hair.
They're like, we can no longer afford to keep continuing to poof up his hair.
that was also.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. There you go.
No, I was just kidding. John Lovitz is an interesting choice to try to sort of step in, not to fill the same role, but to add another comedic voice. I'm not sure, I haven't watched a 5th season episode in forever, but, so I don't know how well it worked, but Lovitz is just such a strange character in general.
Yes.
He's, I remember them talking about, I think I may have mentioned this in a prior week, so apologies, but about people who hate to hear themselves, and it was, talking, somebody was on Conan saying, I haven't watched an episode of my show in forever because I can't stand to see myself on film. And Conan's like, yeah, most comedians are like that, except for John Lovitz. Lovitz loves to see himself. Lovitz walks into the room and is like, here I am, and I'm funny.
I mean, honestly, I feel like in the day, Dan and I were huge John Lovitz fans.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've got 2 funny John Lovitz stories I'll share if you like.
Well, please do.
But, I mean, his name is John Lovitz. He loves John. John loves it. I mean, why he loves it? I guess the one's actually Andrew Dice Clay's story. He and Andrew Dice Clay were standing at the valet at the Grove, and my friend Bert and I were leaving, and Bert was going to get his car at valet, and Bert walked up to Andrew Dice Clay and handed Andrew Dice Clay his ticket, and he goes, "Yeah, it's a silver BMW." And Andrew Dice Clay says, "I don't work here." That was just funny. John Lovitz happened to be standing there with him. And then when I went to I think it was the Bob Saget roast. It's one of the roasts. It was a Bob Saget roast. And James Harris, who was on the radio show with me in LA, who worked at the Laugh Factory, told me that John Lovitz has a really cool old Mustang, and he's a car guy. And I just went up to him. I said, "Hey, I'm good friends with James Harris. We do a radio show together." He said, "You've got an old Mustang." "Who told you I have a Mustang?" I'm like, "James Harris. I don't talk about my cars." Wow. I go, "Oh, okay. I thought maybe you might want to be on the show sometime. It's on 97.1, on the Howard Stern station." "No, thank you." And he walked away. I was like, all right. That was kind of weird. Wow.
No, that's
old school.
One.
That was like the original.
So good.
I remember Lovitz coming out at one point. He was actually a bit upset when
he never came out. Go on. Sorry.
When was it with Joey Suzu, because he felt that Tommy Flanagan, he sort of ripped off Tommy Flanagan to do the Joey Suzu character.
Yeah, David Leisure.
Yeah.
He's lying. Well, he was just being a car guy.
That's true. Yeah.
But I mean, Morgan Fairchild, who I've seen.
Yeah. Oh, and remember The Critic?
Yeah,
I enjoyed The Critic.
I love
that
The
was
Critic.
A good show.
I think he's a very talented guy, but very weird. Like the joke was also that he hung out at SNL like years after he was on the show. He was like one of those people that hangs out at the high school wearing his Letterman's jacket. He's 29 years old. He's still going to the football games. Eric's researching something.
I'm researching something important, super important.
Okay.
Two things. I was gonna add two very unique cameos. That one appeared in 2 episodes as a security guard. Do you know who the security guard was in 2 episodes? Early on. Let's see what episodes these were in. Let me see. I believe it's first season. So if you've watched first season, first season, security guard, Tone Loc.
Really?
Right? Funky Gold Medina, Wild Thing, Tone Loc appears as the security guard who won't let Phil Hartman upstairs.
Oh, okay.
So there's Tone Loc. The other one, non-credited, not explained, no dialogue. Very interesting though. Jimmy writes a book that was a huge disaster, has it translated to Japanese where it's a huge hit. So he decides to have it retranslated back to English from the Japanese and does a book reading. The book is Super Karate Monkey Death Car after the translation back. And he does a reading, and unexplained is that Ron Jeremy is in the audience. He has no dialogue. He has nobody talks about it. For some reason, second row, sitting next to who is that? Is that David? That's not David. Who is that? That's
It looks like David Cross.
Thank you. It's David Cross. Yes. But for some reason.
He might. What's funny is Ron Jeremy might have just been an extra.
Yeah.
He might have been working for the $55.
That's very possible.
For the day rate.
Yeah, both Cross and Odenkirk were in a couple of episodes, never together, but they each did a couple of episodes.
Well, there's an episode where David's old high school buddies come back because they had signed a pact that if they were all single after 10 years after high school or after college, they would reform their a cappella group and go after the top of the charts. And I think that's all 3 of them. I think that is I forget who's on there.
I think it might have been Odenkirk and Cross.
I think so. It's Odenkirk, Cross, and who's the third one?
See, hold on. Odenkirk. Well, Cross was on season 2, 16 and 411, and Odenkirk was on 411. They were both on season 4, episode 11. You're right.
Oh, and Brian Posehn.
Posehn, yeah.
Oh, Brian Posehn, yeah.
And that's why he is in that shot.
He's a funny dude.
Yeah, he's really funny. But yeah. And I forgot Norm Macdonald was on an episode.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Hey. All right, then.
Or so the Germans would have you believe.
Yeah, look at that.
So I don't know. For me, this still holds up, as a series. I think that this is, it's not really streaming many places, though.
No, Pluto really is it. It was on Amazon until we announced it.
We watched it on the Roku channel because we have a Roku. But
nice.
The other thing you brought up, Eric, is the technology in this thing.
I love that. I love the technology.
The monitors taking up the desk, and Dave's laptop is like that thick.
Well, and what's interesting is like season 4, they clearly got a sponsorship from Apple, right? So in season 4, all the computers become iMacs and they have iBooks, but it's before they flipped the Apple logo, right? So it's so interesting because Apple's sort of the one that brought that about, where you want your logo to appear for people who don't own the laptop, right? So the logos, when they'll have their laptops open, the Apple logo's upside down, right? So this was before Apple decided to start flipping the logo because they're like, we want to show you want to show off that you own a Mac. That's kind of interesting in the later seasons. But also, I mean, for me, you're watching anything that pre-cell phones, I find that amazing, right? Just how you talk about something that is so ingrained in culture nowadays, to imagine a day where you couldn't get a hold of somebody or you didn't know where people were, or it's fascinating. But I always think it's interesting to watch these shows too, where these are the people you work with. This is also your friend group, right? So like none of these people have anybody else in their lives, right? They go to dinner with these people, they go drinking with these people. Beth
has the FedEx guy.
She did have the FedEx guy, although he never comes back.
Oh, okay.
What happens to the FedEx guy? We don't know. I don't know. Have you ever had a work experience where your only friends were the people you worked with and you hung out with them on the weekends?
Well, the company I started right out of college, it was a bunch of college guys. Almost all of us were within 1 year of each other in age. We'd all graduated either in 84 or 85. And we did hang out a lot together. I mean, to the degree we hung out at all, but we would get together occasionally and play cards. It's really a question of age more than anything. And a place like an office like that, where you have a wide variety of ages and backgrounds, it is a little unusual if they would actually spend any time together.
You would hang out with the billionaire.
Well, yeah. The other problem too is, Bill McNeil's character would have worked 4 hours a day. That's it. He wouldn't be hanging out at the station in the evening if he's the morning news guy.
The implication in the first season is that they're all putting in like 12 or 15-hour days.
Right. And that just doesn't happen with the on-air people. Even on a news station, I mean, it's not a talk radio station, so maybe 6-hour shifts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. The implication, and that, again, that goes away, right? And the success of the station seems to vary throughout the episodes at once. There's a lot of talk about budget in the first couple of seasons, and then they kind of abandon that. I forgot.
And how much attention Jimmy pays to the station, I think, varies too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a little toy for him. And I just love when Dave is going through, he's trying to figure out, the budget's over by $6,000. Yet he lists all these different things that are happening, like Matthew spent all his money on long distance. And I love when he says, "Can you hang up and come see me?" "Oh, okay." He goes, "No, hang up now." I'm trying to figure out how they're going to do that. And then he's speaking French to the guy. I go, okay, that's a funny way. And then he says, the biggest expense is helicopter fuel. And he goes, the way to fix that, right, Dave? Increase the budget for helicopter fuel. He goes, "Wait, I have a house in Connecticut." That was just a funny episode.
So apparently Sarah Silverman auditioned for the role of Beth.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if she would have wore those outfits.
Yeah, Vicki Lewis or Kathy Griffin would have. Those are the two that could have done that role.
Absolutely. So also guest starring, we had Jane Lynch, John Ritter is in an episode. Tiffany Amber Thiessen, Dennis Miller shows up as a stalker for Fred Pittman's character. I mean, James Caan. There's a whole episode where James Caan's in that quite a bit. George Hamilton shows up. I mean, they really, especially 1996, is where they like roll out
when they were big,
the celebrity guest stars.
Well, it launched, as I recall, with some fanfare because Phil Hartman and Dave Foley being in a sitcom was big news.
I didn't realize there's an episode where Lisa goes to MTV to do an interview because she's thinking about, whether she's going to leave or not. And she does a very bad interview on MTV and she's talking to a band. I didn't realize the band is actually Anthrax. I just assumed they were actors, but I'm scrolling through the list of stars and they actually get listed as Anthrax. Not the name, not their names, but Anthrax. That's hilarious. That's
beautiful. Awesome. Somehow we've talked for 50 minutes with 3 people about this show.
Well,
and no comments.
No comments.
Other than my mom made a comment. The John Lovitz thing. Brittany, of course, forgot it was tonight. And Jake just went, "Who marries Putty?"
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, this means that it's me or Dave that gets to choose.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless Brittany's still hanging out in the comments, I guess, because that we are.
So it is time to pick. It is time to pick the TV show for next month, which will be the last Monday of September. And the only way you can be on the wheel is if you're either on the show or in the comments right now.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to tell us what show you'd like.
I know.
So if you're in the comments and you'd like to pick a show, say yes, I want to be on the wheel. And if not, I'll just flip a coin over here. You don't even need the wheel.
We don't even really know. And
I'll grab a deck of cards.
Well, I feel a little underprepared. I've been trying to do some research lately on what shows I would pick, and everything I keep coming up with is not streaming anywhere.
Yeah, that's the big problem.
A lot of streaming is going to disappear with the new contracts. When the strike is over, you're going to see a lot of stuff disappear. Sadly, it might go to paid programming only.
Okay, there. I could do that show.
All right, so Dave might have something.
I at least have one option. I'm deciding if that's something I want to do. But
yeah, I was gonna say, well, we could talk a little bit about what else we've been walking, and then we'll end the show.
Walking. I've been
walking. What else have you been watching? We'll talk
I've been
about
watching
watching. We'll talk about what else you're watching. We will end tonight's show with choosing the show. That sound good?
Yeah.
Then Dave, can I do some little side research here while we do that? All right, let's do
Okay, wait. Why were you not in that one?
It's your birthday.
That means it should be just you.
And I love that there's an electric guitar playing, and you've got this acoustic.
That's what
we were very.
Flip.
Our budget was even lower back then.
Also, the fact that you weigh 48 pounds.
I was 148 back then.
But instead of legs, you had stilts. Yeah.
I was 6'3", 215 back then. Wink, wink.
Oh, man. All right. So this was not a big TV week at my house. We did today watch a movie with Charlize Theron called The Old Guard, which came out in 2020.
I watched that.
That's not bad.
That's the superhero one?
They don't die.
Yes. They're
not
sort
really
of superheroes.
They
They're
don't have
mortals.
powers or anything.
There's one part of that that's really creepy.
Oh, yes. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yes, that is really creepy. Yes.
But yeah, it's it's available for streaming. I think it's
not bad.
Netflix.
I think they're planning a sequel to it.
They definitely wanted a sequel. It would be nice if they got a sequel. I don't know.
It was certainly set up for a sequel.
Charlize does angry woman really well. Like she, you really know. I don't know. It's enjoyable if you want just something on. I'd recommend it. It's not terrible.
Yeah, it was enjoyable.
Yeah. How about you?
It was enjoyable.
My mom finished watching The Mentalist. She's been watching that for a few weeks now. She really likes that show.
Transitioning from Psych.
She started watching The Mentalist first.
Oh.
Psych kind of interrupted her watching that. I've been watching Pawn Stars again.
Really?
I just love Pawn Stars.
It doesn't bother you.
Pawn Stars is it's somewhat entertaining, but so much of it is so staged.
Yes, this is.
It's all 100% staged.
How fake that all is.
Yeah.
Let me talk to my buddy. He's an expert in 3rd century stamps.
Yes.
Like you have a buddy
that was licked by Napoleon.
Yeah. In Russia, the stamps lick you.
Ooh.
Thanks, Yakov.
Thank you.
Oh, maybe that's what we should watch.
Pawn Stars.
Moscow on the Hudson?
Oh, Perfect Strangers.
Oh.
That'll be my series.
How did you get Perfect Strangers from Yakov Smirnoff?
Yakov Smirnoff.
I jumped from that to Balky.
Balky Bartakamus.
What'd you say?
Balky Bartakamus.
Oh, I'm frozen.
Oh, man.
Did I freeze?
I don't know. Did you?
Oh, you guys both froze.
You look good to us.
We
as good as you ever look, anyway.
Or did you freeze? We're both here desperately trying to see a family time.
Oh, finger.
3D. You very bad man, Jerry Seinfeld. Very, very bad man.
Now we do the Bartakamus dance of joy.
All right. Does anybody else have this trouble with Just Watch that after you search for one show, you can't search for more?
No.
Yeah. Are you using Just Watch Plus? Do you have to pay for it or something?
No. I'm using Just Watch Max.
Oh,
Oh boy, Max, what a great move. Let's dump one of the most well-recognized names in cable/streaming
Yes,
in
it
favor of a generic
but
name
here,
like Max.
wow.
well, here's what's dumb is the app is still there for HBO Max. They have a brand new one,
Right.
which is called Max, and there are apparently TV remotes that have branded HBO Max on them.
Right.
And when you push it, it takes you to the old one, which doesn't exist anymore.
Well, of course, because it's like program.
Oh my, that's awful.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like buying Twitter and changing. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And it's amazing. Twitter is like Prince because every article about X, they go, the platform formerly known as
Yes,
Twitter.
exactly.
I love that.
It's like Prince didn't really change his name. He just became the artist formerly known as Prince.
Yes. TAFCAP, yeah.
Too much. Too much.
And then Twitter.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, and then Twitter wants to get rid of the ability to block people.
Yes. Well, Musk,
Then, of course,
Musk is so mercurial. He'll change his mind next week, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We did. So I think I may have mentioned this before. We did finish watching season 2 of Schmigadoon. We're also watching. We've watched off and on for a couple months now. Amanda has been really into some British shows, British game shows in particular. And there's one that I can definitely recommend, and I think some of them are on YouTube, called Taskmasters, where they take 5 comedians and they have this guy who's the taskmaster, and he just gives them these tasks they have to perform, some of which are utterly ridiculous. And he somewhat arbitrarily, sort of the way they do on Whose Line, gives out points for them and see who wins at the end of every episode. But it really is quite good. I recommend it.
Nice.
All right. I was just looking at Stephen Root's list of work, his body of work. It might be one of the longest ones I've ever seen. This man, I mean, just for 2023, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 television show alone. They're almost all voice. All of them are voices.
Oh, that's like Nick Cage level credits.
I'm going to look at this. What did I say? Let me pull this up real quick.
I mean, part of that is he is extremely versatile. He is someone who can just disappear into a role. So
his first film was Crocodile Dundee 2.
Oh, and Monkey Shines. That's George
Monkey
Romero,
Shines. They and they did Black Rain, Stanley and Iris, Ghost. He was a police sergeant in Ghost.
V.I. Warshawski. I forgot about that. That's the
Monkey
Kathleen Turner
RoboCop
movie.
3.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But look at it. Just goes. This is all movies every
He's
year.
Never stopped working.
And then you go to television. He was on Night Court, Jake and the Fat Man,
Home Improvement. Yeah.
And it just keeps going.
Every sitcom you can name, he's been on it.
Yeah.
Look at that. Sarah Silverman show. I'm still going. I'm still going. And there we are.
Wow.
And then you go into video games.
Oh, my goodness.
Theater.
What? He was a theme park? Finding Nemo's Submarine Voyage?
I mean, he was on Kevin Pollak's chat show.
All right. Nobody has said that nobody's watching, apparently, who wants to help participate in picking next week.
So it's just between the two of you. Do you want me to do a random coin or on my phone, or do you want me to?
I mean, I
spin
can
the wheel. Make sure you shuffle it.
What I was going to say is you can each pick a number, and then I can have Siri. Sorry. Pick a random number, and whoever's closest, in honor of Bob Barker, whoever's closest without going over.
Dave's not going to let an Apple product choose our fate.
Oh, that's true.
Hey, I have no say in this. This is the EriDan show.
Oh,
that's true.
Or
we could do the black and white cookie.
All right, let's just do the black and white cookie there. I shuffled it.
It went. Boop.
Do you want another shuffle? Do you want another?
One more.
All right. Oh,
okay.
Wow.
Now I'm happy with it. Sure.
Oh man, the fates have been changed.
You should have put like 10 spaces for each of you.
Do you need that? Do you want that? I'll do that.
Oh wait, Stacy's here. Hold on.
Crumbs?
Is she saying?
Crumbs
Is that a swear?
What?
Is that a swear word?
I don't know. I don't know what that means. Does that mean she wants a space?
Oh, they just got out of Barbie.
Use your words.
Oh, she must have gone to see Barbie with Adam.
No idea what we're talking about.
I think she means crumbs like, oh, phooey, I missed the show.
Yeah, that's her talking blue. Yeah.
All right, let's just have it's between the two of you.
All right, we're doing this. All right, I'm doing it. Let's find out what is the fates. What is
Black or white? Black
TV
or white?
show? Oh, there it is.
Oh,
it's me.
Yay. As it should be.
Oh.
Now the
All
pressure
right.
mounts.
Okay. I have one option, but I need to decide if that's the right option.
Well, that is the most important part.
We could discuss.
Would you like to discuss?
I'm
please.
tentatively thinking of Columbo. But we also just did a detective show, the prior show before News Radio.
That is also true.
So I might want to mix it up.
And I will not watch all the seasons of Columbo.
Yeah, I have, but
I do an impression of him on one of the old EriDan films, where I say, incidentally, it's Peter Falk here speaking on Easter seals.
Yeah. Yes, you.
Yeah, remember that?
You've been doing that for 40 years.
Kevin Pollak.
Still not that good.
Johnny Carson loved Kevin Pollak's Peter Falk. So anytime Pollak was on the Tonight Show, he would have him do it.
Yeah, you gotta get the eyes right. You gotta get the
you got to get the wonky eye. Yeah.
Incidentally, one more thing. Oh, I have a headache now.
While Dave's thinking, I will remind everybody. Now, Dan, are we doing
yes?
Labor Day? Are we doing a Labor Day show? Are we gonna Jerry Lewis this thing? No, that's not.
You know what? I have a thing on that Sunday. I have a thing on that Saturday. I think I don't have anything on Labor Day. Let's just do it on Labor Day.
Good. Monday it'll be fantastic. And it's the double feature for September: Dungeons and Dragons and Top Gun Maverick.
I got to watch on the airplane, which was very nice.
Oh, did they edit it for?
I don't know. It didn't say it was edited.
I don't.
It wasn't on the screen. On Alaska, you use your own app.
Oh,
so they don't. Sometimes it will say edited for this flight, but
if you watch Die Hard 2 on a plane, they're going to edit it because they don't want you to freak out.
Or if you watch Airplane on a plane.
Stacy thinks she owns a season of Columbo.
I've thought about doing Newhart, but Newhart's one that strikes me as you really need to get to know the characters. It's not one like News Radio that you can just jump right into.
I agree.
So I don't think it works quite as well for this format.
Columbo was great because you get to. It's kind of the reverse of most shows. You like see the crime.
Yeah, I'm tempted.
And then they solve
it. It is streaming.
I agree with that. I second your motion.
You agree with that?
4 or 5.
I agree with that.
I second your motion.
Yeah, let's do Columbo. I'll pick 4 or 5 or 6 or something like that and post them within the next week or so.
Perfect. So Dave, so final verdict, News Radio, thumbs up, thumbs down?
News Radio, definitely a thumbs up. I don't think I'm as big a fan of it as the two of you are. I really enjoyed it, but I don't see myself watching a bunch more episodes after this just because there's so much TV piled up and it doesn't compel me that much. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm assuming you're a thumbs up. Apparently, Waze and that'd be Wade and Stacy watch so much News Radio, and we don't get to hear any of their comments because they're watching Barbie.
So my mom says it's a very funny show, so she gives it a thumbs up.
Oh, there you go. This might be our first 100% thumbs up, thumbs down on a TV series. Stacy said she does love Newhart from the 70s.
Yeah, I highly recommend Newhart, but it's a little bit weird because first of all, season 1 is not that great. It's sort of like Cheers that way. It takes a while to really find its footing.
Yeah.
And then even after that, once you know the characters, I mean, Larry, Daryl, and Daryl are hysterical once you get to know them. But if you just randomly came upon a Larry, Daryl, and Daryl episode of Newhart, it'd be like, what in the world?
Yeah. And not only that, you also get, oh, my wife's home, so the dogs are barking. You also get the finale, of course. It's one of the best finales
the
all of
amazing
television.
finale. One of the all-time greats. Yeah.
Yeah. So Stacey and Wade, do you want to give a thumbs up, thumbs down to News Radio? You said you watched a lot. Thumbs up, but you would like to see. Yeah, you definitely need to see the first 3 seasons. If you enjoyed the last 2, you would have a great time watching the first 2. Awesome. Yeah, we'll make that happen, Stacey. We'll figure it out. Are available.
Yeah, it's a great show. Such a great show.
Yeah.
And WKRP in Cincinnati, I would put.
That was Dick Van Dyke Show was on my short list, but I passed it by.
Oh. See, what I like about the Dick Van Dyke Show is that they did a pilot with Carl Reiner as the lead, and then it failed, and so they revamped it, and they did a whole new show with Dick Van Dyke.
Right.
Which, might be very familiar to me in the very near future.
I mean, it's to me it's the prototype workplace comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Until another series comes out in a couple of years, maybe. This reference to Dan's sitcom pilot is brought to you in part by the all-new Era sedan. With a car this hot, it's a lot.
And that was Dave Foley's shirt.
It was very close, wasn't it? The shirt that I'm wearing.
That's true.
The tie was from Rafi.
It's a good look.
Yeah, I have the tie in the drawer.
It's a 90s look. Well, I think
will not be recommending any episodes of Mrs. Columbo.
Was there
anybody remembers that
Mrs.
show?
Columbo? That was a video game, right? It was Mrs.
After Columbo ended, or because there was a period where it was off the air for several years, and they brought it back. They decided to launch a show called starring Kate Mulgrew called Mrs. Columbo, where it was his wife, because his wife never appeared on screen. He talked about her a lot, but she never appeared. Said, "Oh, we'll do a show with her as the detective."
Murder
and then
Columbo.
They changed the name to Kate Columbo, and then they changed the name to Kate Loves a Mystery. They kept trying to figure, maybe the name is the problem why nobody's watching. No, that wasn't why nobody was watching.
Well, Mrs. Columbo, that was a terrible idea. It was Mrs. Columbo.
That's right up there. Yeah, that's right up there with some of the really bad spin-offs that people have tried, like the Ropers.
In the sales world, there's a thing called the Columbo close. We used to teach it to salespeople, when they're selling cars. And the Columbo close is they agree to whatever deal, and you're going to the sales desk to go talk to your manager, and you stop and you turn around, you go, one more thing.
One more thing.
And then you just throw one extra thing in at the last minute. Like if he says he'll only do $5,000 for the trade instead of $6,000, I mean, we still have a deal, right? I mean, we're not going to lose it over $1,000. Or if we need to, throw in the blue car instead of the red one we have in stock, you're okay with that, right? That was called the Columbo close.
Shifty. That's all you are.
Although Steve Jobs did at the end of every Apple presentation. One more thing.
Yeah, see where it got him.
Ooh.
Mm. All right. Well, there we go. We got a show for next month. We have got 2 action adventure, fantasy adventure movies for your Labor Day enjoyment. I think it's fantastic. I think we have yet again successfully culminated a fantastic program of entertainment and discussion. So I think we did it. I think we'll see you next Monday. Dan, happy birthday. I'm
gonna be old like you.
You might be. You'll be Herbie age. You'll finally be a bug.
We're Herbie age.
We are. Absolutely. And we should
Herbie
be.
Age?
Herbie age.
53.
Oh, I thought they meant herpy age. Sorry.
Herpy. Oh.
Hairpiece. No, I don't need. I don't have hairpiece. I need a hairpiece.
You need.
You need a EriDan.
You need a EriDan.
I do. I should.
Oh, should. Look at that. You just lost 10 years just doing that.
Look at that.
Years younger. You're so hip now.
I could be the drummer that looks like Will Ferrell.
You are Superfly.
I'm Chad Smith.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, it was a fun pre-birthday party.
It was fun. I enjoyed News Radio. Thank you for recommending that. One of the funny things is I do realize that News Radio, for people who were born after News Radio aired, if you were born in 2000, there were so many references to things in the 80s, 70s and 80s and 90s that are going to go whoop, right over your head. But it was
like AM radio.
Well, there is that.
Well, hey, didn't Congress just act to try to force them to keep AM radios in cars?
Yeah, my car does not have AM radio.
Yeah, they're trying to reverse that for supposedly for emergency purposes.
Right, like they can't use FM.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What was that briefly appeared in the
That was Mr. Lipnicki. I have no idea why this is in here. When we talked about Wreck-It Ralph. I have no idea. Mr. Lidwack? Mr. Lidwack, is that the guy who owned the pinball arcade in Wreck-It Ralph?
We also have this in there.
His name.
I know. You're full of yeah. We might have to clean some house here. We still have this for some reason. I have no idea.
Oh, wait.
We have exit music.
and for people,
no,
and we've got this. If you don't pay for the extra things. Thank you, Stacy.
So Dan, are you going to put your Venmo address in soap on the back of your car so when you drive around tomorrow, people can Venmo you money for your birthday?
I never thought of that. Is that a thing? This is like the
trend now. This is the trend. Apparently, there are people who.
Adam made it.
We stalled
right,
just
Adam.
long enough.
Now, this is the trend. People will put a Venmo address like on their way to college, being like, just starting my freshman year in college. Here's my Venmo. Or I'm getting married today. Here's my Venmo. And people are sending them money. People see this and are like, here's $5. Go buy yourself a drink. I just turned 21. You should.
Well, I was behind yesterday. I went to get gas for the tractor, and the guy in front of me is getting 2 gas cans filled up. And as he's putting the gas cans in the car, I see him slip a tip to the guy who was pumping the gas. Like, no, don't set this precedent. We already tip way too much. I don't need yet another thing I need to tip.
Everybody who's watching, send $1 to Dan for his birthday. Let's see if we can get to $53 for Dan.
We're going to stay on until we get $53.
It's like the world's worst telethon.
It's the worst telethon.
Well, a big thermometer with a 53.
Let's look at the board. Yay, Ed McMahon, what's on the board? There's a couple restaurants here that are doing this weird thing. One of them in particular, I love the restaurant, but it's like a 20% service charge has been added to the check, 66% of which goes to the people that help make your food. The rest goes to the house. I'm like, first off, I don't want to do that kind of math. Number two, so you're saying that 2/3 of it goes to the wait staff, or are you saying 2/3 of it goes to the chef and the cooks, and we're supposed to still tip the wait staff?
That's how I would.
And I don't want any of it going to the house. The house is
right.
Any of it go to the house. Yeah,
right.
The total fee. The service.
Unless by there's another one. Mean that like the receptionist or the concierge or something, but
they don't have that here. But another restaurant has the most impeccable service. The food is fantastic, and they pay their people like $30 an hour to work there. Like they're paying really high, but then they're like they have an automatic service fee. Well, then don't have the tip line added. Like when we were in London, there's no tip line. You can't tip.
Right.
When you go to sign, it's just here's your total. But there's a service fee usually included. That's what we should do. Just put in the prices.
Well, except that the trouble with that is you remove the option, because tipping originally was to give a reward for exemplary service.
To ensure proper service. That's what it stands for.
And so
TIPS.
It's, you gave a tip because, wow, what a great waiter. What a great waitress.
Yeah.
The food was amazing. And now if you're just going to add it onto every single bill, it sort of defeats the purpose.
Yeah. I'm logging into my Venmo to see if anybody actually gave me anything. Wait, I just logged into Vimeo.
Oh,
very similar.
No.
It's a very similar logo.
Send Dan a video.
Let's all send a video to Dan for his birthday. That might be better.
Eric has us beat on that. He'll just send more of Dan's mustache and legs.
See what other no, I won't.
Nothing. Thank you all.
There it is.
I'm gonna write it on the back of my car.
Put it on your car. I dare you. I will give you $1. If you put that on your car.
Yeah,
I'll buy that for $1.
I'm not putting it on my Polestar electric car. Maybe on the '79 Pontiac if I drive that around.
Drive around for 2 hours and see how it does.
Yeah,
Just
nothing like putting something begging for money on an expensive car is really
exactly. Well, what's funny is I was going to get the license plate "It's a Lot" because it's available.
Oh.
But then I realized if you put that on the back of a car like a Polestar, a lot of people don't even know what that is, and they go, "What is that?" It's a lot. That just sounds bad. It's like you're bragging. Like you're spending too much. But then on the Pontiac, it might fit to have that on there. But I already have a classic 1979 plate on it.
Yeah,
I always think of the old Don DeLuise sitcom "Lots of Luck." But anyway,
wow,
I don't remember that sitcom.
It was one of my mom and dad's favorite. It only lasted a couple seasons. It was Dom DeLuise as this. I think he was like a bus driver, cab driver. He worked in some very blue collar job, and he had a wife at home who nagged him, and he had a brother-in-law who leached off of him, and it was fairly typical sitcom. But my parents loved it, partly because Arthur, who was the shiftless brother-in-law, had a robe that he always wore. He always walked around in a robe because he never left the house, and my dad had that exact same robe. So my mom thought it was hysterical.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you should have picked that. No. It's not too late.
Just watch. There's Lots of Luck streaming anywhere.
It's not too late to change it. No. That's awesome. All right. Well, nobody loves it.
It isn't even on Just Watch.
Yep. No. Well, yeah. Neither is the pirate movie. The pirate movie is not streaming anywhere.
Oh, you're still Dr. Laugh, huh?
There is a 320 P version on YouTube of the pirate movie, where somebody has taken the lowest resolution possible. Right? They took a DivX file and put it up on YouTube, and
it's dubbed in Japanese.
It might as well be. It's so bad, Otherwise,
yes, it is so bad. Exactly.
Oh,
do you know what's insane? We're about to end. We have more viewers right now than we've had all night.
It is very true.
Yes.
Maybe just the rambling podcasts are better than. Maybe hard to say. But nobody's even wishing you happy birthday besides Stacy.
Stacy did. Well, thank you.
Lots of love for Dan.
So Stacy saw Barbie. Adam, what did you see? If you're still watching, I haven't seen Barbie yet.
We know that Adam did not go see Barbie again.
Yeah, Adam definitely did not go see Barbie.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless he had a female that he went on a date with who said,
"Ooh,
I'd like to see Barbie." They'd be like, "Okay, we're going to go see Barbie."
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I didn't know he was that pecked. Yeah. Maybe he went to see Blue Beetle.
He already
saw Blue Beetle.
Yeah, he saw Blue Beetle.
He did the Beetle.
Then it must be the Meg 2.
Was Ringo the Blue Beetle?
What else opened this weekend? What else is brand new?
Strays. You could have gone to see Gran Turismo. That was a week or two ago.
Could have been that.
All
right,
he's driving now.
All right, everybody, send Dan some money. Send him some love.
Don't send me money.
We'll be back here Monday.
Oh, wait.
Hey, I finally found you guys. Sorry.
Hey.
This is the show that doesn't end.
Nobody wants it to end.
You didn't go see Barbie?
No, I didn't go see Barbie. I had to do some cleaning up and stuff. So clean up my
locked
office.
In the closet, though.
Yeah, this is my office for school, front porch office.
Ah, nice.
And since I'm technically graduated, once the faculty meet and say okay,
right,
I don't need the office as much anymore.
Hey.
So Stacy's kicking me out.
I didn't have a chair, so I'm hanging out here.
Dan's super casual tonight.
Yeah.
So we are meeting then. So we're Monday next week, and then we'll decide after that what we're doing the week after.
Yeah, is there something the week after? What's going on?
Labor Day.
No, next Monday is Labor Day.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is the 20th. So you're right. So yeah, we got Labor Day in a week.
Yeah.
So we're doing because you would. So we're doing Monday, right? We haven't changed that, right?
Correct. We're sticking with Mondays.
We're sticking with Monday. 8 on Monday. Okay.
Just tomorrow, I wouldn't be on the show.
Gotcha.
You guys are more than welcome to a show tomorrow if you want to go and start all over again.
Sure. We'll do the same show too. We'll just do News Radio 2 nights in a row.
I'm going to be watching more News Radio.
I had to say about News Radio.
Or we can just do the final countdown again.
Oh, let's watch that again. That's a great idea.
You guys are that upset that I gave it an 80?
Yeah, that was appalling.
Oh, you guys graded it. Can I throw my?
I mean, did you like News Radio?
Yeah. I forgot how good it was.
It's a great show.
Oh yeah.
And I just listened to the Bernie Brillstein autobiography. He was one of the executive producers of News Radio, and he talked a little bit about how this show became a hit.
Oh yeah.
How many seasons of Kids of the Hall is there?
I think only 3 or 4.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton.
And they have their new season on right now.
Dave Foley and Mark McKinney went on to do quite a bit more. Bruce, Scott, and Kevin I haven't seen as much of.
I don't know if I could watch Kids in the Hall now. That would be interesting. I haven't watched since it was on.
Oh, the best. I mean, it's uneven. It's definitely uneven. But the best kids, to me, the Armada sketches. I don't know if you remember Armada.
See, I don't remember much.
That was the rock band that the kids were doing. That was just because it was all about because Kevin McDonald played the guy who played lead guitar, sang lead vocals, and wrote all the songs. But the other guys in the band all had far bigger egos. So they were like, eventually the name of the band was Rod Torfelson's Armada featuring Herman Menderchuk.
That's awesome.
I think I've told this story before, but Scott Thompson is in the Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
And Carrot Top's real name is Scott Thompson.
Oh.
And at the Montreal Comedy Festival one year, Carrot Top gets a knock at his door, and he opens and is a male prostitute. And he goes, "Hi, I'm here for Scott Thompson." He goes, "You got the wrong Scott Thompson." Carrot Top not gay, Scott Thompson gay.
And weirdly, Scott Thompson's real name is Carrot Top.
Whoa.
Weird, right?
That's a twist.
And actually Carrot Top would have green hair.
Yeah, should.
No, Dan, your score 80 was 20 points higher than anybody else for the final countdown.
No, Brittany gave it a 72, I thought.
Yeah, there was a 72.
Oh, yeah, you're right. She gave it a 72. You're right. But it did help balance out Adam's 20.
Oh, man.
Which is 20 times better than Cats.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. He gave it 20 cats.
I loved it. It was 20 times better than Cats. I'm going to see it again and again. Speaking of John Lovitz.
At least 20 times.
Acting.
Thank you.
All right. I'm calling this quits.
All right.
All right.
Send Dan some money. Send Dan some love. Happy birthday to Dan. We will see you back
Dan.
here Monday night, Labor Day show. Mark your calendars now. We'll see you then. Good night, everybody.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.